Lance. Grateful to have you back here on a Happy Aloha Friday. This is edition number 2. We've already done the numbers today, but we thought we'd have somebody special on. Kevin Eliason from Maui Paradise Properties, looking to be the most prolific property management company that's on Maui right now. I've been getting his Pineapple Minute, and they are literally taking market share. Impressive plays that one of the things that really impressed me about Kevin, he's probably tired of me of hearing me say it, but for a lot of our property owners and condos, when the fires hit Lahaina, it really killed the tourism industry, and everybody was really racking their brains, especially ones with mortgages and high HOA fees, how they're going to float. Kevin was literally the only property management company out there that was able to segue and get some of this FEMA business. And we literally have clients that were able to float strictly because of that there. So hats off there. We really appreciate that, Kevin, that you were able to do that. Yeah, man. So appreciate you being on the show. We thought we'd maybe ask you, give us a quick introduction of Maui Paradise Properties, the role that you play in it, if you don't mind.
Sure. Independently held company on Maui exclusively, so we're not marketing or managing in any other locations other than here on Maui.
Awesome.
We have all independently owned by 5 owners ownership. We are diversified in that we offer both short-term and long-term, and then property care as well is something we're venturing into here shortly. From a standpoint of what we did from the FEMA situation, we were the only company in October after the fires there in August to go directly to FEMA and get approved for management here on the island. We managed 85 properties, 10 of which now have segued back into the short-term market, and 75 still existing in management situation with, FEMA residents in those properties. The advantage that we do is we have a 19 additional items that we take care of in the property over and above the contract that is normally given to the owners from FEMA. So we're providing additional service, and then in addition to that, we negotiated the highest rental rate, and we also got the association dues included in the compensation for those owners. So we're giving them more money than they would be going just straight to the normal funnel. From a standpoint of what we do, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Okay.
I was going to say, so grateful.
What we do, there's my granddaughter calling me. I have to call her back. From a standpoint of what we do, we are basically a full service company. From the short-term side, we're taking care of you, the owner, giving me a call. I'm the onboarding director, so you'll speak with me. We'll go through. I'll have Zoom presentations with you if you want. We can talk about P&Ls. We can talk about relationships to different teams. We've got 7 different teams that you're going to be able to work hand in hand with, and then we see if we're a good fit. To be honest with you, that's probably the
I like that
angle that I address every person I speak with is, here's what we're about. Make sure it fits for you. And for most everybody, not everybody, we have a couple of people here and there that say, I don't know that that's going to work for me. And I say, we'll be here when you're ready. Go ahead and go to another source. And then when it doesn't work for you, feel free to give me a call back. So hang on just a second. I'm going to tell her. Hi, sweetie. I'm on a phone call with somebody else. Can I call you back? Thank you, love. Talk to you soon.
I love it. Real life happening right here.
Yeah,
guys.
there you go.
That's what we're all about.
On Maui.
Yeah. Sorry about that. That's my daughter.
Not at all.
My granddaughter, sorry, in North Carolina. So I'm a grandpa, believe it or not. So, so from that onboarding process is what we call it. Once they say, yes, we'd love to work with you, and we put together the contract, I then put that into our onboarding team's hands. And my onboarding team basically is built up of about 45 to 70 hours of behind the scenes work that we do not charge the owner for. That's a part of our complimentary service of bringing them into our program. It includes basically a full inspection of the interior, inventory of the interior, conversation of recommendations that we recommend for them to increase their rental revenue and increase the sustainability of their product, of their condo, their home, whatever the case may be in that regard. Because ultimately what we want to do is create rental revenue, but also increase the asset by not decreasing its value. And when I say not decreasing the value, that means solving the problems when they're smoking rather than fire, situation. When we're taking care of squeaky slider doors or broken screen doors or broken glass, or broken tiles and things like that. That's one thing where we really excel, is that we just solve those things. And the problems become less and less harmful if you get them in the early stages. After that, they'll have a meeting with our owners team about how their owners portal works, how their P&L works, how the accounting department will work with them. And then our service team at that same point in time is then in there working on setting up the unit. We do a staging in the unit. We prepare that for our photography, which we pay for, the professional photography of your unit. And that then coincides in with our revenue team. Our revenue team basically does what we call channel management development. So if you consider every website that's out there a channel, that's the simplified term for a website of people who do their industry, in our industry. We create and build all of these backbones with multiple different factoids that come into play. We pay for proper verbiage that's being serviced through AI studies. We use a lot of
Mm.
persons on three different marketing teams. So we're tracking what people are searching for in not only words, locations, style, development of all those types of things goes into play on that. And then when we have everything built in the back end, we then flip the switch on, which is called the channel turn on. So we turn it on to all these different channels and start our marketing at that point in time. At that point in time, that's when our marketing team starts keying in and getting into the market trends, the developments, the flows, the ebbs and flows of what's going on in our future from a standpoint of, right now, it's a perfect example. Right now, we're at 77% occupancy, and the rest of the island management teams are hovering right around 40%. So they,
Insane.
yeah, it's a tremendous discrepancy, and the reason why it's so tremendous is they just can't keep up with changes. We can change our
Mhm.
rates in our units in about 10 minutes. It takes 3 to 4 weeks for other companies to do that. So
Wow.
the static pricing or the lazy type pricing styles of most every, even small to large management companies, cost them in some cases $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And if you look at that in a scale of end of year, and I'm using about $150,000 a year gross revenue on the property, that can be close to $30,000 in difference. Okay. They'll lose
Wow.
that much while we gain that much. Well, if you look at the disparity between those two, that's $60,000. So that's a huge opportunity for us, and how we work as a team and how everybody on our team works coincidingly to make sure that we have success across the board.
I love how data analytical your company is, and how you can literally spit out these numbers that you're doing in the Pineapple Minute, but
Yeah.
also the fact, like when we're having conversations, you're telling me that, John, if somebody would just fix this small issue here, it would increase their revenue by this much because it eliminates bad reviews. And that just blows
Yeah.
my mind that, it's that
That's huge.
logical, not emotional, right?
Yeah. That's
Because
the huge
that's
thing.
what I've counseled. Yeah, that's what I've counseled a lot of our clients, where they think that they're going to take this beast on their own and they're going to do this,
Right.
self-management to save the fee. And it literally becomes a full-time job for them. And then they price based off of emotion. When they get scared, they're slashing their rates. Whereas I'm like, the best thing about a professional property management is they take the emotion out of it and they have
Yep.
processes in place that are scientific. So yeah, I really, really
Absolutely.
appreciate that about you, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
let's ask you a simple question next to segue, man. So, what's your bird's eye view of the current market, and how do you see this playing out? Our viewers are, well versed about the Minatoya list. We'll just bring people up to speed real quick here. There was condos that are being vacation rented here on Maui. Some were hotel zoned, and then others were apartment zoned, and they're on this list called the Minatoya list. And they were absolutely legally vested rights to do vacation rental management. And then after the fires, our mayor threw a big hand grenade and said, I'm going to take that right away. So, with that being said, where we are in the chaos here, Kevin.
well, without getting, personal feelings on this thing, the simple answer is I think it's going to fail miserably.
Okay.
And the reason why I say I think it's going to fail miserably is, first of all, there's a precedent that it did not work on Oahu. It was attempted and
Mm-hmm.
failed on
Okay.
Oahu. Secondarily, the the structure of what it was initially, the impetus of what it was initially presented to solve is not solved, not resolved by the proposal. So even if all of
Mm.
these properties, even if 100% of these properties ended up having to be turned into long-term rentals, it would create, you know, judicial responses immediately. You'd have people filing countersuits and that of that sort, but it wouldn't solve the problem because people simply can't afford them from an affordability standpoint.
The
Personal
truth.
study that I did and other people have done, only 3% of the condos that were on this proposed list, which I have my personal thing on that, that proposed list actually was codified in 2019. So it doesn't even exist anymore, technically. But 3% of the condos that are on that list are affordable. Now, there was 3 weeks ago now a town hall meeting that the mayor got in front of people and said that they're going to go after these homes that were built, purpose built for workforce housing. So if your condo that you are proposing or owning or looking into has a front desk and it was operated as what we call a condo hotel, which is a condominium hotel, those units, in his words, would not be held into this turn of style, and they would not be removed or restricted from doing short-term rentals. So
Mm.
it's a mild, if I can call it that, sigh of relief from us to see something like that happen. We personally don't manage any of the units that are in the workforce housing properties because they simply just aren't going to make a whole lot in rental revenue. So that speaks kind of to itself that if they aren't going to make enough in rental revenue, then why aren't they already being long-term rented? So, you get to this point in time where affordability and cost of ownership on these properties doesn't blend and doesn't match. And that number right now is between $3,000 and $3,500. So if I say to
Mm.
you, you're a homeowner and you've got an AOAO fee or your homeowners association fee, your property taxes, your electric bill, and your other miscellaneous fees that you're paying, if they equal 300 or 3,000 or $3,500 or more, you're pretty much too expensive for the local who's working at a restaurant or at the hotel or cleaning your unit or working in our management company. They can't afford your unit because it's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the other step that no one really considered in this process, or the proper people didn't consider. These are not designed for people to live in long term. There's just not enough room. You walk into most of these condos have maybe a 4 foot or an 8 foot closet, and they have no other storage. They have a little tiny kitchen in them. They do not have any parking. They only have one
None.
bathroom and two
Yeah.
bedrooms. They just aren't designed for long-term living. So the the term "kick the can" came into play many times by many people. That was the reason why this was proposed by the mayor. Which, by the way, he proposed it over 7 months before he actually put his proposal into the county for the county to vote on. He didn't put it in until December 20th last year. Well, he had been talking about it for 7 months, but he never
Mm-hmm.
put it into play. He never put it into the process of, hey, review this, county council, take a vote on this. So as he tore apart a lot of the flow that we had coming back in people buying from post fire situations and Maui in this somewhat recovery mode, that was kind of a kick in the gut to slow everything back down again. So where are we in the next 6 months? Which is kind of getting to your question that you asked, and I gave you a long answer up to this point. Um, I think we're going to slowly continue to rise. The hope and the opportunity that can come about from this is resolution of the proposal. If we get
Mm.
resolution of the proposal, which is required to be done by June 20th, by the way, that has to
Yeah.
be done by June 20th of this year. And if that doesn't get voted on, it actually just quashes the proposal. The proposal fails and falls. Okay. So if there's
Mm.
no vote taken, it just becomes a moot point, which is a possibility. But if that happens, of course, it won't get as much fanfare as if somebody comes out and says, oh, hey, the county council voted 6-3 that they're against this, or hey, here's the county's proposal to remedy this proposal and revise it into a different format. And here we've got 3 complexes that we feel are good for affordable housing. The other ones, you guys get to go about doing your business. And I've brought up the point, why would they pay, or why would they require these complexes to pay to convert from
For
whatever
rezoning.
they have to a
Yeah.
hotel zone when they're
Yeah.
already there and they don't need to change anything? Why would they want to make them pay more money to do something like that? So there's another contesting event that may come about. But from a
Mm.
standpoint of where do we go with the marketplace, I think July and August are probably going to be the biggest months of either increased frustration or mass decrease of frustration and revitalization of Maui. That's my personal opinion.
I like that, man. I'm gonna be here July and August. I'm gonna watch this thing play out.
Yeah,
Be ready.
and
And we'll just yeah,
I
go ahead.
certainly expect that if this does get to a point where we have this, okay, we've resolved the attempt on, you know, $2.5 million condos to turn them into affordable housing because they don't want to take on all these owners. I did a little study. You should know this. I did a little study on the asset value, and I did estimates, of course, on the asset value of the people who own properties in Kapalua alone. Okay.
Okay.
The asset value of the owners of the Kapalua owners is 11 times the asset value of the county of Maui.
Wow.
And that's just simply the asset value. Okay. So if you want to get into a fight, a legal fight, the county is just going to end up getting crippled in that process. And that's just simply Kapalua alone. Okay. You can
Mm.
look at Wailea, and then if you combine all the rest of these, which, you know, compensatory damages for all these types of things is something no one talks about, and I think should be talked about because
Is it an eminent domain? Is that what this is? Is this a form of eminent domain?
they're creating this demise, which is a informal definition of eminent domain. Exactly. Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of that with the attempts, will I should say, happen with the Front Street owners and things like that in Lahaina.
Oh,
You know, they're going to
dude.
try and go after eminent domain on those properties, and they're going to just meet legal restriction after legal restriction after legal restriction. And eventually, they're going to get their hands slapped, and they're going to have to back off and let these people rebuild their properties. And the amazingly unknown factoid that you can actually do shoreline remediation and not ruin the whole entire world, because we're the only place on the planet that doesn't allow shoreline remediation, is baffling to me. I mean, put concrete pillars into the ground and rebuild your buildings and get this thing going again so we can have our country, our island, operate like everybody else in every other country does. That's a simple.
Just let us get back to work here,
Just
guys.
let us
That's all
get
we're
things
looking
going.
to do. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So,
Man, I appreciate that. I'll
yeah.
let you know this, Kevin. We have a process here on the show where we do make predictions ourselves, but if they don't come true, we just delete the video. So that's what we'll be doing. So
So
that's
no
how we
worries. We'll
handle
just
that.
swipe this
Yeah,
I
off the
like
there you
server's
that.
go.
case
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
if this goes by.
Once it's put in print and out in the World Wide Web, I don't know that we can delete the whole world, but that's another process. So yeah, yeah. Somebody will
Right
find this
on.
someday and go, "You said."
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's out there forever. Hey, so, I tell my clients when it comes to looking for a vacation rental condo, for me, the 3 most important things are, you know, a view needs to be incredible. And sometimes that's not necessarily a direct ocean view because complexes are different, but it's interesting how each complex has its own sacred building or, there's other value that we add to these things as humans within a
Yeah.
complex. So
Yeah.
got to be have a nice view, needs to be recently updated because that's what brings the continued guests. And then I always say they need to have AC, but you're the professional. What do you think is the 3 most important things to look at for a vacation rental? Numbers,
Well,
I'm sure.
the most important thing for a buyer
Yep.
is that they figure out what they want the most, and
Oh, I love that.
it's the irony upon all ironies of I get a phone call from somebody and they say, "What is the best condo for me to buy?" And I say, "The condo that you like the most." That's the simple answer. Okay.
Fox, isn't
Now,
it?
Now I can
But we
sit
always
here and I
have
can give you data analytics all day long. I can do a pro forma for you on 1 to 5 units and show you what the numbers look like. But when you walk through the door of the unit that you want, that's the one you'll buy. And from a
makes sense.
standpoint of functions and what are those ultimate bottom line aspects, you talked about view. It might not be so important to somebody. What might be more important is instead of buying a 1 bedroom with a view, they want 2 bedrooms and 2 baths on the backside with a mountain view, or they get the more room, they get the space. As far as buying units that are in better condition than others, you'd be
Yeah.
surprised at how many people I get calls from that once I do my pro forma and I show them current condition rental and I show them renovated condition rental, they call me and they say, how do I get from this to this? And we walk them through the process. So from a standpoint of losing someone who looks at a condo and says, oh my gosh, I love the resort, I love the area, I love the design, I just don't like the condition. Well, that can be changed very easily. We can fix and change the condition very easily. I've got units that are side by side. One will produce $125,000 this year, and the other will produce $85,000. This one's been renovated for $25,000, and this one was not. Well, if you can make it back in 1 year or less, by all means, spend the money. 100%. So those
Now
are where,
pause real quick. Did
yeah.
you say that you would help with the rehab too as part of your
Oh, we do. Yeah,
process?
we set them up. We have people that we set up with teams on that. We do an interior
Wow.
designer gets 1 free hour every time somebody comes on board with us. So we give all the processing on how to go from A to Z. It's just whether they want to take all the steps, some of the steps, or none of the steps. It's their choice.
That's good to know, dude. Because that's one of the biggest
Mm.
things that turns people off about trying to do a remodel on Maui is they hear about the county, they don't know anybody. I'm not going to, I can give them, people to talk to, but I'm not going to be
Yeah.
able to man that. So that's
No, we
incredible
have
to know, dude.
yeah, we have a group that basically sets all that stuff up. She's very busy. I'll have you because she does. Right now, she's doing probably 7. She's got active in the pot in the hopper. So, um, there's a lot of really good interior decorators on the island that don't take that extra step. They don't make sure that all the aspects are taken care of. They'll do one little portion, but they don't do all. This person does all, and that's what makes her so special. She does a really good job for us. So.
I love
Um,
that, dude.
but you said what are the 3 most important things? Number one, what do they like the best? Number two, what are your revenue expectations? Where do you want to go from a revenue expectation if you're looking at a revenue earning and bearing opportunity? And then number three, I would say, um, you know, pick the right management company.
Hey, there you
It's
go.
There it
it's a
Oh,
is.
simple thing. Yeah, yeah.
Super
If
it's
you
going to
pick the
make
important
wrong
all
and
the
often
management
difference.
company,
overlooked.
if you pick the wrong company and you kick yourself, every company needs a couple of months to prove their abilities. But the easiest way to figure out whether your management company is doing a good job or not is look at the other units that they're managing. Go to one of the channels like a VRBO or Airbnb and look at what they have on their future calendars. And if their future calendar is empty, yours is going to be as well.
Wow. There it is.
An easy way to discover.
Yeah. So anybody who doesn't want to work with my company, I give them one final homework assignment. I say,
Yeah,
just go take a peek and see what you find. So, and then they
there it
usually,
is.
hey, Kev, we're going to come back if you don't mind. Okay, no problem.
So much more powerful to show than to
Yeah,
say, isn't it? You just go
100%.
look at it
Yeah,
yourself. Huh.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
here's another easy one. And we were kind of talking about this before we jumped on the program, but what are realistic cap rates? And then, yeah, we were talking about McKenna Surf and some of those cap rates just blew
yeah,
my mind. But yeah, what
yeah.
do you think is realistic?
So the majority, if I could just turn my screen, I've got, I do pro formas. I've got 250 I've probably done here in the last 6 months, but the majority of cap rates at 80% are going to range between 3 and 5%. Majority of them.
Okay.
Okay. You get a few that will really do super well. We talked a little bit about McKenna Surf. I would say the units that, if properly marketed, that are 2 million and above will probably pull you the highest return because of what
Wow.
we can do with them and the style with which we do our marketing and the rental revenue that they perform at. They don't even have to get to 50% occupancy and you're still going to get really great returns. So the mentality of a lot of management companies are more people in the units creates more revenue, creates a happier owner. Well, more people in the units at the wrong rate creates an angry
Wear and
owner because
tear.
his unit falls apart and he also is losing
Yeah.
a lot of money. Okay. And that's what's happening with some of these management companies right now is they're not properly marketing their units with the proper forecasting, using analytics and figuring out what's going to happen 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months down the road. We do that every day. That's our job. That's what we do from a profitability division. And from a standpoint of performance, when you don't have any bookings 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months out, your booking window gets narrower and narrower. And when you go narrower and narrower, you get the people that are coming on the island looking for discounts in the last minute. And the people who don't have those bookings are all trying to dive in the pocket of that last minute tourist. And that last minute tourist knows it and they go shopping for the cheapest deal that's out there. Well, if your management team is marketing to the cheapest deal shopper, guess what happens to your revenue? And also we track, we track the damages that are done by guests in booking reservations. And the people who book in 3 months or less, the damages that they perform in the unit is 5 times the amount of damages of people that book outside 3 months.
Wow. So true Maui lover
Interesting insight.
compared to, wow, I'm just going to go there because it's cheap and I never have, and then I'm going to beat the
One and
place up.
done. Let's go. Yeah, let's just go abuse.
Yeah.
And you know, they don't take care of Aina at all. They abuse Maui in many,
Yeah.
many different ways. And they're just here expecting to be served rather than to be here and experience what Maui's all about.
They tend to be the most entitled, man. I gotta say it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So back to the $2 million condo. Is this because it's a clientele that's attracted to that
Yes.
kind of that product
Well,
there, isn't it?
And here's another irony to this. A lot of commentary that you hear right now in the media is, oh my gosh, the stock market's down. Everybody's losing all of this money. And then you have the sarcastic me who says, why are they selling? And they're not. And they're not.
Right.
But the media forgets to say that you don't lose the money until you sell that
That's
at a lower
it.
price. Okay.
Right.
But the most important thing in the higher end, and I say it's probably 2.5 million. 2 million is kind of right on that threshold of, you know, the small business owner can still afford to come and stay in those types of units one time a year situationally. But when you get to 2.5 and probably 3 to 5, $7 million properties, those people, when the stock market is down, are making more money than when the stock market is up.
There's their hedge.
They hedge.
There's
So
the hedge.
That's when they spend the money. And so when the market is doing fantastic, they're paying less attention to it because they really don't feel that they can make a whole lot of money. So they're coming then as well. So there really isn't a time that upper income earning people don't vacation. Okay. It's just kind of like their heartbeat. It's something that naturally happens. They do repeatedly. And it doesn't really matter what the market is. They're still going to go through their normal processes of vacations, buying homes, and things like that. Albeit 2022 was an oddity. We had a lot of high-end homes turn quickly. Okay. And that was an oddity. We may never get back to that again on that scale, but I think we will get back to that again on the amount, the quantity with which those people are paying for those properties. And you know, we're blessed in that when the economy tanks, we don't tank as much as the economy. And when the economy revives, we don't revive too fast. So we stay kind of on this steady path. And from a standpoint of where we're going next, I think we're just going to see that steady path of increasing. So we, you know, we'll sorry, my phone's going berserk there. We'll grow with
No worries.
it. Yeah, we'll go with it, but we won't see a slash in the marketplace, I don't think. Like some of the, you know, LA, let's look at, for example, you know, they're having a lot of price reductions across the board on the survival houses. So there's those prices are, people are just saying, I can't afford to live here anymore because it's just becoming too expensive. They're moving out of the state. Well, we don't have that because we live in paradise. It's one of the most amazing places on earth to live in. But from a steady growth standpoint, I think it's better that we healthfully grow rather than rapidly grow. And I think that's something that we can always say is better for us in the long run as well, for everybody.
It seems like anytime a market goes parabolic, because I was in Arizona during the Great Recession, right? Every time it goes parabolic, you get a mean hangover a few years
Yep.
later, every single time. Um,
Guess who bought in Arizona in 2007?
who?
Yours
Oh, I
truly.
loaded up. I loaded up in 2005, man. I was selling
Yeah.
for Pulte Homes. I had 3 houses. I was coming out of pocket a little because that's fine, right? Oh, I
Oh my
got
goodness.
crushed, dude.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely smoked.
Yeah.
So yeah,
2010 sale is when the got me.
yep,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I know that well.
Um, Here's another easy one. Will the condo
Yep.
fees ever come down, and what's going to be the mechanism there? I mean, do insurance rates ever levelize? I mean, do they ever come back, or should we expect these to just
I, I
remain elevated?
I don't think that they will come back. I think insurance is going to have a few restrictions placed upon them, so they can't, increase 300% or 500% like they have been. Um, the
Yeah,
oddity to insurance companies is we buy insurance to be able to protect us, and then when they have to pay for the loss, then they whine and beg and complain that they don't have enough money to stay and sustain their business. So it's one of the most profitable businesses in the world.
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and just short of the oil industry owners, I think insurance companies and pharmacy, I guess I should say, those guys they don't struggle, and when they have to pay, all they do is they sit and they whine and moan and complain. I was kind of happy that they didn't get their hands in the pot of the settlement for the
I
Lahaina
was
owners.
too.
Yeah, but their
Agreed.
retraction or their reaction of that was to come after everybody with higher premiums. But will it go down? I don't see that it can, and the reason why I don't see that it can is, you have to look at all the components that come into play on the association.
Yep.
It's the insurance is number one, the maintenance of the property, the liability is a huge thing, and the liability of all these associations for somebody who trips and falls on a broken piece of concrete when they're walking into their unit, and they break their arm, or worst case scenario, they crack their skull and they're in the hospital for a long time. Everybody has to have the proper protections to cover themselves for the potential of disaster. And knowing that, and seeing what everybody is doing from a standpoint of protecting that, and then they have to pay for the people to run those associations as well. From a percentage standpoint, that's about probably
Sure.
25% of the expenditures. But knowing all that happens, the only thing that will drive those down is just a severe catastrophe in people don't want to come here anymore. And that's the only way it will go down. And if it does that,
Hmm.
we probably won't be here either. So, then you'll get all
There
the,
it is.
yeah,
No benefit to that happening.
yeah, there's no benefit. There's none. So, you get the locals that complain about they don't like the tourists, but then you turn around and ask them, what do they do for a living? Well, they work at the place that creates all the sheets for the hotels. And if there was nobody staying in the hotels, they wouldn't have a job. And if it wouldn't have a job, what would they do? Go grow food? I don't think so. So, it's a cycle that we all live in, and 85% of our economy evolves around and is involved with tourism. So it's just a natural progression that we've created over the last 50 years, and it's tough to get away from the reality of that. So to try and transition away from or into a different type of scale would probably take 50 years. I don't see us doing it.
The word is out. Maui's a cool place to come. It's the most
Yeah.
beautiful spot on the earth. People are cool. I mean, that's what brings them. I mean, people literally love this island. And they showed up after the fires with the amount of money they threw at us, man.
Yeah.
I mean, people
Yep.
really, really did come, and I think sometimes we as local people forget that. So I'm grateful, man.
Yeah, me
Danny, I
too.
talked a whole lot, dude. You got any questions for Kevin here?
I mean, you got a couple questions still on your list that I'd love to hear from Kevin. Kevin, so our core business, like a lot of what we do is people what we say retiring with Maui, and that kind of
Yeah.
one of three options. Like either they're going to relocate fully, and
Mhm.
Maui's going to be like the remainder of their years. They're going to do a part-time thing because they still love Seattle in the summers or wherever they
Yeah.
might be from. Or the third one is they want this sort
Family?
of yeah, that's it. Or the third one is they want some sort of vacation rental property that they can make some income off
Yeah.
to kind of justify their toy. and they're gonna either use the money that they're making on the vacation rental to go enjoy life. We have some
Yep.
clients that are traveling the world with that money, and other people doing other things. But I guess like if you're kind of in that space, 3 to 5 years to your official retirement, I mean, when do you
Yep.
feel like it makes sense, based on your experience, your expertise, to pull the trigger on buying something on Maui?
It's going to go
Mhm.
right back to the question that John asked me 10, 15 minutes ago. What are your most important reasons for buying? When you
Mm,
find something you like, buy it.
there it is.
Until you want to come and live here permanently, I'll take care of it for you. I'll create revenue for you, and we'll basically maintain the property. You can't go wrong buying what you like in this economy for sure, and on this island even more so. But the other part of it is that if I can sustain what you're looking to do, I've got owners from Canada, for example, that live out here 1 day less than 6 months. Okay. We manage the unit when they're not here, of course.
Yep.
But the beautiful part about that is that they bought what they wanted. They bought what they loved. We take care of it and cover all their expenditures when they're not here. And in most cases, we make enough money to sustain the whole entire year of expenditures for them. So they're basically living rent
Amazing.
free in an opportunity in a beautiful location that they love. And here's the kicker to the whole entire thing. If you buy something now and I manage it for you, let's use, for example, let's take a McKenna surf place. Okay. And
Okay.
let's say you look at buying that. There was a unit that was in there that was a converted double unit. And I believe it was 6 bedrooms and 4 baths. Okay.
That was sweet.
This is a few years ago, and I did the numbers on this unit, and I ran the numbers, and it came through in double digits for return on investment. Okay, and
Wow.
I ran the numbers for the owner on this, and I said, if you buy this and I manage this for you, and I'm going to give you roughly $500,000 in rental revenue a year. Okay, after expenses,
Revenue.
revenue after expenses.
Wow.
Okay, that more than pays all of his expenses for a mortgage that he may have put on that, which most people buying at that price don't have a mortgage. They just reallocate their assets. Okay.
Sure.
But if you buy that and you don't like it 3 years from now, sell it. You've already made profit. You've got all of the returns that you've had in the whole entire process. You've got an ROI that's above 10%, and you're going to gain the asset value of that property for 3 years. And there's no better investment. I don't care what stock you want to go buy, you can't beat that. It's not
Mm,
possible. So, from a standpoint of where's the best place to put your money, it's where you best feel your money should go. But where can you look at
Hmm.
me from a numbers crunching standpoint? If you buy something here, Maui wise, you're probably going to guarantee yourself at least 7, if not 10, maybe even 12 or 14% return on ROI in the things that are 2.5 million and up.
That's
there you have it.
powerful, man. Yeah, because everybody's always looking for what they consider value, and then it
Yep.
just spits out value rentals, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
And if you
Huh.
don't like it, just sell it and buy something else.
There you go. And for our Canadian clients out there, it only sucks when you have to buy because that's when you use your Canadian dollars. But guess what? This thing spits out US dollars in
Yeah,
rental
exactly.
income. There's the win every single time.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, and don't get
That's
me wrong.
it.
I'm not saying the only investment is the $2.5 million and up. I mean, I've got people. I've got somebody actually that just bought a place in Maui Vista of all places. It's right here in front of me on my screen. They paid $600,000 for a 1 bed, 1 bath. That is going to gain them rental revenue on this unit $26,000 after expenses per year. That's a $600,000 investment that you're going to gain after expenses $26,000. You can't figure that number crunching out any better than that works. It works beautifully. And it's a great little unit for these people to be able to come out here and spend 2 or 3 months a year. Fantastic.
Beautiful. It's a great spot.
Yep.
So on that line of thought, did we hear that you're purchasing, or you recently purchased a vacation rental of your own?
I did. I bought a property that is on the, here we go back again, the quote unquote Minatoya list.
Yes.
And so I did buy it. One of my golfing buddies sold it to me because he was reinvesting in, of all places, Central America. And so I said, you
Hmm.
go right ahead. I'll buy from you here. And,
I'll take
and
the
the,
safe Maui investment.
yeah, exactly. That's funny. Yeah. And that's what I told him. I said, go have fun with that, buddy. And so from a standpoint of me being in the industry and managing, now I'm also seeing it from the owner's standpoint as well, and giving feedback into my teams about, what goes on in the emotions and
Yeah.
the aspirations of what we want the units to do and the performance of it. And then, of course, the sheer fear of what if, is always something that everyone asks me about. And I just simply say, hey, I'm walking the walk. And, you can see what I've done and where I'm going with this and what I expect to have this property perform for me. And if I don't like it, I turn around and sell it. Situationally is going to be fine. So I'm okay. So I'm not too worried about it.
There you go. What was
There
it
you
that
heard
made
it, guys.
you, yeah, what was it that made you kind of pull the trigger on that besides being your friend selling it?
I would say I've always wanted to do so, and it just didn't figure for me because working on Maui and affording and buying on Maui are two different things. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
Truth.
some of us, can go and buy what we want readily, but others of us have to plan and figure out how to get into. And so I had an opportunity from a timing standpoint, and he made me, he facilitated financing for me that worked out really well for me to be able to pull the trigger. So,
There it is.
there's always opportunity depending upon how you ask the right questions. And if you've got that, back to our what is the best or the top three reasons to buy a condo. Sometimes it has to do with how your combination of being able to purchase it comes together as well. So some things take
There it is.
multiple different factoids and events to come together. And if you're working with a good title company, working with a great real estate agent, a management company that's going to help you succeed, then that's probably going to be one of, if not maybe even in some cases, the greatest decision-making process for you to be able to find one that does work.
Dude, you've been
So
throwing
valuable.
gold nuggets all day, Kevin. Thank you so
Sorry.
much, man.
Got a wheel.
I hope you
I got a
Serious.
left the
wheel.
tip jar.
Hey,
I hope you leave the tip jar out there.
Yeah.
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 I've got one last question. We'll close on this one, Kevin. This is when, we were meeting together with my client. It was his first purchase ever. You made a powerful statement that you do not want a vacation rental condo that's booked at 100%. Why is
No.
that the worst thing possible that you could have in your mind?
Our wheelhouse and the best scenario for bookings and revenue is 85 to 92%. So
Okay.
what we do is we track the pacing, and we do pay probably the most attention to a term we call ADR. It's our average daily rent. So what it is it's the rental amount divided by the occupancy. And we want that number to be optimized as best possible. And what happens is if you get above 92, and I'm not saying that you're not going to go above that for like Christmas or New Year's or something like that, but I'm saying on average, if you go above that 92% threshold and something goes awry, let's say you've got a leaky air conditioner, okay?
Mm.
You've got a broken tile. If you don't fix those things, and those things catapult is probably the best word to use into greater difficulties and frustrations, they create tens of thousands of dollars of problems rather than hundreds of dollars of problems. And so
Whoa.
if you can't get in and fix something, for example, right now we've got some units that are booked so well, they're booked at like 90% right now. And we want to get in and do our March deep cleans. And because it's standard, we go in through biannually, we do March and October, we do deep cleans where we go through the unit, and we at Maui Paradise Properties pay for safety inspection while we do that deep clean. Well, if we don't find those problems and those problems create a negative review, that person makes
Ooh.
one negative review. The negative review can cost you sometimes $5,000 to $10,000 in the first 6 months in rental revenue.
Wow.
And I'm still back to that $150,000 a year rental revenue average scenario.
Right. Right.
If I have that fixed and the person who notified me was a guest and they know I get in there and I fix it while they're there, because we want to solve problems as quickly as possible for two reasons. One, we want to keep it from creating more of a problem. But number two, we want that person who said, hey, there's something wrong, please fix it. They then have an expectation that if we say, hey, do you mind if we come in and fix it right now, that we will do so. And when we do that, we ask them for a positive review of how well we solved a problem. If someone,
Powerful.
60% of people who make bookings online, look at comments, and they search for negative comments when they do that. And if they see somebody say, hey, the shower head broke, they came back and fixed it in 25 minutes, replaced it with a like or better unit, and we were, not disturbed or discomforted the whole entire time. We had a wonderful vacation. I highly recommend staying in this unit. That comment can give you $5,000 to $10,000 more revenue.
Increase. There it is, gang.
So there's the benefit. Take the negative and turn it into a positive. That's the key.
Take all the emotion out of your property rentals, guys. Give it to the logicians, the specialties, the specialists at Maui Paradise Properties. They take all of the work out of it for you and they send you checks.
That's what we're here for.